Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or good evening for that matter. Welcome to the online blockchain video course. I am joined by a member of the French sporting agency Setteo, who've been featured in L'Equipe and Yahoo, and so on and so forth. So, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Really appreciate that. A pleasure.
So, to begin with, tell us more about Setteo and why it was set up.
Yeah, well, Setteo originally obviously respond to needs in the market. So originally we focused on the racket sports, which is tennis, badminton, ping pong, etc. The idea was really to connect, to build a community around it. But little by little we realized that blockchain as well could very well fit with our vision and was needed actually. And this is how we get to get into the blockchain world as well, and building a far bigger vision actually that gets to all sports.
So how can companies such as Setteo benefit other sports agencies, or anyone in sports for that matter, set up blockchain technology for their business?
Well, obviously there's going to be many ways, and what we're building is a platform. Well, most of organizations, sports organizations, companies can tap into in order to deliver services to the community of players and professionals and other organizations. But an example, a very easy example, would be, for example, our universal rating. We want to be able to assess the level of all players. In the case of racket sports, it's very easy to understand, like tennis, for example. You want to meet with someone who plays the same level. And in order to achieve that, we launched a universal ranking. And obviously this ranking is for sure universal, unisex, dynamic, but it's also peer-to-peer. We don't need a federation, we don't need a club, any third party to validate and officialize in a way a bit the results. The blockchain does it actually. So that's a very that's a beautiful way for us to validate our ranking and to make something that makes sense for the whole world of sports in this case.
I notice you have a very particular eye on tennis. Why is that?
Well, we started with tennis because I'm a tennis player myself. I used to play quite a lot. I also I was general manager of Head, the biggest racket sport manufacturer in the world. So I managed this company for Spain and Portugal. And also tennis is a big sport actually. This is 1.5 billion fans over the world, so it's very attractive. We think when it comes to blockchain, it's very interesting as well, because at the end it's a way to bring the blockchain in mainstream. So tennis is a very good one to bring blockchain mainstream, but obviously the platform and what we're developing right now is going far beyond racket sports and tennis.
So, what's so unique about Setteo above all your competitors in the sports industry?
Well, in this case, actually the blockchain is unique. Blockchain is still not very used in the sports economy. Actually, I heard so many amazing pitch and presentation during this show, and very few actually mention sports, but there's a lot of once again, as I mentioned before, for example, with the ranking, there's many things we can do. The identity of players is a key as well. That's one of the main things that blockchain is solving as an issue. And so I think the first thing is the blockchain. It gives us a lot of advantages, but this is far more than this, actually. We're doing all in one platform in our case. We're addressing the needs of professionals, we're addressing the needs of clubs, association, organization, we're addressing the needs of athletes as well. So the fact that we're doing everything in one single platform is a big advantage for us. We're not just, for example, software management for clubs and association. We're also the players, as I mentioned before. So it's a lot of things in one, and that's our biggest advantage. Plus, as usual, the first law of marketing is better to be the first than to be the best. In this case, hopefully we're going to be the best. That's what we aim for, but also we are the first. So we tap the market. We have partnerships with more than 30 federations worldwide already. We have already a big database of players and active users, so it makes a big difference for us. Once you are in the field, nobody can really get there. You're already there, so that's the biggest advantage as well.
Why do you think blockchain technology is so important and so vital, not just at a time like this, but for your business? Like how important is it with you because of statistics that you mentioned for tennis and for football, and that's so heavily reliant on data, that's so like vital and expensive, if you like. It's almost like its own currency.
Absolutely. I think, when you do a business in sports, it probably means you are passionate and the values of sport are very important for us, for me, for my team. Otherwise, you do maybe you go in other industries. And when it comes to blockchain, I think what blockchain brings to all industries, but especially in sports, it's going to be trust and fairness in many extents. Obviously, for the stats, for the results, for the transparency it represents as well. It's a fairer world, for example, when it comes to young players that needs to get financed. Let's use non-fungible tokens, for example. That's what we're going to offer as well, with the possibility for them to raise money without losing 40% of their future income, etc. These kind of applications are very important. The same thing with the universal ranking system we're setting up. It means that some players that don't have the possibility right now to be seen, it's going to all of a sudden seen, and maybe why not become professional and make a career in sports. So it's a fairer world, and everything can be once again supported by the blockchain technology. There's many applications in sports, like in all industries. So I can't really say everything, but these are two, for example, that are very important. The last one is obviously the player's identity. That's key, and we want one unique identity, so that all apps, all kind of platform can connect, and this is your identity. You manage it yourself, and this is another key element of the blockchain that's going to be widely used in all the services we're offering.
I'll go again. Will the technology applied with Setteo be available to use with people who want to develop their own blockchain? Will they be able to kind of see it? Because it's open source?
Absolutely, that's the idea. Once again, Setteo as an app is an example that we set to show that our platform, open source, can be very useful. So Setteo is ours, but there's going to be, and we hope there's going to be quite a lot of other platform, other apps that builds on our open source platform to deliver the services. So that's really the idea. By the way, I'm meeting with Decathlon, one of the biggest sports retailer in Europe. They're now growing as well in the US. They have a huge plan of growth. Decathlon wants to manage it strategically. They want to manage their community of clients, which are community of players as well. And in the racket sports, for example, they want to give more services, and they're gonna plug into our platform to get these services, like create matches, like to find other players, like the ranking system, etc. They can literally build on our platform instead of creating everything from scratch. So that's one good example of how we hope the whole thing's gonna work.
You work with the likes of David Goffin. Can you, as one example, who's quite high ranked in the men's tennis in the world, can you give a few choice examples of who else you work with at the minute? And a few examples.
Yeah, I mean, once again, one of the good thing we're offering to the blockchain world, because the blockchain is giving us a lot, and we talk about that, but one of the good thing I think we can do for the blockchain is to bring it mainstream. And I think the adoption of professional players that are quite exposed is very good for this. And obviously for our business, it's needed as well from a marketing standpoint. So David Goffin actually is one of the players we sponsor, but very interesting, he's investing as well now. He believes in the blockchain and the whole vision we have. So the same with Caroline Garcia, number 6 at the WTA, the professional women's tennis tour. We have Fabio Fognini, he's the number one in Italy, one of the most charismatic player on the tour as well. We have João Sousa, which is the number one Portuguese player, but we're also in other sports. For the moment, once again, we targeted racket sports as an example, but we are, for example, with badminton, we just signed some British players, Olympic medals, for example, Chris and Gabby Adcock. We have in squash the number 2 in the world, a young, amazing athlete, also graduated from Harvard, by the way. Ali Farag is also the president of the Player Association. He's only 25, brilliant future. So he's also with us, really believing in a vision from Egypt. Yeah, we have several players, and now we're going to open to, we're in negotiation actually with players from other sports, team sports especially. So some good news are coming in the coming months actually.
Do you think blockchain in the world of sports is sustainable and be able to run in the long term? Is it just going to grow and grow and grow until it becomes, the thing, and everything else is left in the past, basically?
I think it goes far beyond the sports. I think I'm a believer. I'm the founder and CEO of the company. I was not into blockchain. I was not one of the pioneers. Our CDO is quite an expert. He shared with me his vision, and it's been only a year, more or less, that I'm really getting into the blockchain. And the more I see the blockchain, the more I hear about it, especially here, that was amazing. The more I believe in it, and not just by the technology, but what it represents, but also by the people who are running it. Actually, I think we are in good hands. Many of the people I met during this show are amazing guys, very far from, evil, fast cash return of investment in crypto, whatever. All these things you can hear, all these stories. I was absolutely delighted to hear certain speeches here, and this is another reason. Obviously, there's many rational reason why the blockchain is amazing and it's gonna probably change most of the industries, not just the sport industry. It's already doing. But once again, I was absolutely delighted with the people, and it's always a matter of people. Whatever it is, it's always come back to people. So we are in good hands.
Where do you think we are right now with regards to the blockchain space? Is it early days, and do you see the future of blockchain in the near future and beyond? Where do you see, so to tie it all together, where do you see it right now, and where do you see it in the long term and the future? Not just for sports, I guess, but in when we're talking about the bigger picture.
Yeah, well, as I just said, I think it goes far beyond sports. That's for sure. For me, it's difficult to have a vision in terms of concrete steps and what it's gonna be in 10 years. What I see is the idea behind it, and this idea cannot be stopped, I think. I see that in many aspects of the business. My background is more, I'm a scientist, I'm a chemist, but I did business more in distribution, more in negotiation, where there's always third parties. And the whole economy is moving towards direct to consumer type of distribution. Everything is more direct right now because of the rising of technologies. So the blockchain really fits into this so perfectly that I don't know the limit. I can't see really limits to its use, but it's definitely the technology that responds the best, I think, to what's going to be the world tomorrow, where this is direct interaction based on trust, a word that is fairer. Once again, I mentioned fair and trust because I think this is the key. And actually, I'm glad because everything's going to be transparent, and this is what the world needs as well. It's the right direction for the world. So I think there's no limit to this, and I hope it's going to be everywhere, really everywhere. There is so many applications. I mean, we've seen all the industries here presenting, whether it's bank, medicine, whatever, sports now. Everything has an interest in the blockchain. So yeah, let's see what's going on.
What are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies and its use in sport? Do you think it has a place in it at all?
No, definitely. Quite a lot. Actually, we are already having partnership with e-commerce that accept payment in set coins. We'll be in Tokyo during the Tokyo tournament at the end of the 1st of October. If you are around Tokyo, just come to ASIC shops in the main street of Tokyo. David Goffin actually is gonna buy in set coins some products at the ASIC shops. So once again, we're trying to make it mainstream. It has a lot of interest. Talking with some brands, for example, there's many applications of the set coin, but we are building a real ecosystem. For instance, ASICS as a brand doesn't have ambassadors. We have ambassadors throughout the world, and they can literally pay these ambassadors, like renting our network of ambassadors to promote the products at the grassroots level. And doing so, they have to pay in set coins. So that's an example of how a brand can use the set coin. So if the brand uses the set coin, the e-commerce can buy to the brand in set coins, and then the e-commerce is interested as well in offering its products in set coins to the public, and then the public also is interested in buying set coins. So it's a complete cycle, it's a complete ecosystem. It makes a lot of sense. One of the big thing as well for us, bringing back not only the power to players but also participation to sports, because that's what we're doing. We want people to play more. Our vision is to make the world play together. It's all about rewarding the players not just on winning or losing. And by the way, when you're a sportsman, when you're an athlete, you know that success has nothing to deal with winning or losing. And that's why we want to change a bit this paradigm. And there again, the cryptocurrency helps us a lot, because in our platform, for example, we have what we call the SRE, which is a Setteo rewarding engine. And what it does is that it rewards players for their participation, not just for winning or losing a match, for organizing, for building the grassroots, because that's what we need. The world has changed. The way we consume leisure has changed completely, dramatically. Millennials are the biggest segment of the population already, and millennials don't want commitment. Go play a tournament. You don't know when you're going to have to play. It's going to last for 2 weeks now. They want to play anytime, anywhere. That's what they're going to be able to do. But the most important is that they're going to get rewarded for their participation. What we want is people on the court meeting for real, using the technology, but meeting for real, enjoying sports, enjoying the values of it, and getting rewarded for this, because they're doing good for the world. So that's another example of how to use our cryptocurrency in the sports world.
Do you have any advice for anyone that might be watching that wants to use blockchain technology in their business, or wants to get in the world of sports, or perhaps and wants to use blockchain as part of it as well?
I just would like to say in this case, once again, I'm not an expert, and especially here with all these guys who understand so well the technology and far better than I do, but as my experience as an entrepreneur getting into the blockchain without any knowledge before this, I was lucky. I have an amazing CDO that understands so much about it, and he's so humble as well. What I would say from my perspective is that it's very important it makes sense, because I've seen, to be honest as well, a lot of people getting into blockchain. Sorry to say this, but yeah, they're getting there because they can raise money without getting diluted in certain cases in utility tokens. That's definitely not the good reason to get in the blockchain. You have to understand the blockchain. You have to spend a bit of time understanding it, what it can bring really to your business deeply, have a vision, long term as well. And only if you have some good answers to these questions, of whether you need it really, you need a crypto, for example, or not, whether you need the blockchain or not, get into it. But don't get it for the wrong reason.
Very well said. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to touch on that you may have wanted to bring up but haven't had the chance to yet? Maybe
just one thing that, once again, I'm a newcomer to this world. I was absolutely thrilled by the quality of the people I met here. The quality from a human standpoint. Obviously, assessing the technical skills of one or another, or the vision of one another, is impossible. That's quite finally subjective, especially for me who don't have this technical background in the technology. But what I saw is there was a group of people really trying to make the world a better place, and that was probably common thing that all these people around share. And I was absolutely thrilled with this, because at the end, that's the only thing that's worth, right? Trying to enjoy what we're doing, trying to do good. That at least what makes me happy in life. So I've been in several industries as an entrepreneur. I've been in the automotive industry. I've been in the food industry. I've been in the sport industry. Obviously, the blockchain industry is, I think, very specific in the sense that there are people that really think far beyond, their own person. They really think for the whole world, and I'd like to, to congratulate the organizers, and I must say I'm very glad to be part of this community now.
And if people wanted to try and reach out to you or contact you, where can they find you?
Oh. Well, you can just contact me on my Telegram, Pierre Emmanuel Czaja, Czaja, or go on Setteo.com, send an email to info and request to get in touch, or on my email it's Pierre, Pierre @Setteo.com, SETTEO.com.
Thank you for joining us, Pierre. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.